If you find yourself in a situation where you're saying things like, I can still kind of feel that steak sitting in my stomach from last Thursday. That's not really how things are supposed to work. If things are operating the way that they should, eating should just be a part of your day. You shouldn't feel the effects of that meal for the next 9 hours. We're built to conquer our food, so we shouldn't be running in horror from a chicken salad sandwich. So if you find that you have a brick sitting in your stomach after you have a few chicken wings, you're not going to want to miss this.
TC Hale is not a doctor and does not claim to be a doctor or licensed in any type of medical field. Don't be an idiot and use anything heard on the show as medical advice. This information should be used for educational purposes only, and you should contact your doctor for any medical advice. Now get off me.
Let me know in the comments what types of foods give you the most discomfort, and most importantly, just know that you're not alone. Digestive issues are extremely common. Pretty much every book that I write has 2 or 3 chapters just on digestive issues, just because digestive issues are so common and they can create so many health issues. So to understand why food might just sit in our stomach like a rock, we first need to understand how digestion is intended to work. So when we eat food and the food goes down into our stomach makes hydrochloric acid, or HCl. And this HCl is meant to help us break that food down. It starts that breakdown process. And once the food acidifies, it leaves the stomach, and then the gallbladder squirts this bile down, which is an alkaline substance. And when the alkaline meets the acid product, it creates this sizzle, and it helps us bust that food apart and pull all the nutrients out of that food. Here's the problem with the stuff that goes on in the stomach. The acidification process is what tells the stomach when it's time for the food to move on. If the food is not getting acidified correctly, it doesn't move on. So when it feels like it's sitting there like a rock in your stomach, it's sitting there like a rock in your stomach. It's sitting there because it hasn't been acidified correctly. And it's very common for someone not to be making enough stomach acid, or to have other issues going on in the stomach that's alkalizing that stomach and neutralizing the acids that your stomach are making. So it makes it impossible for the food to get acidified correctly. Now, there's a wide variety of reasons that a person might not be making enough stomach acid, but in any case, if there's not enough stomach acid to break that food down, that food will break down by process of rotting and fermenting. And this rotting and fermenting not only takes a lot longer than when your body can just acidify the food that you eat, it takes a lot longer, and that process creates more gases and pressure, which can result in bloating. And then that bloating creates expansion, which makes our stomach feel like a rock. It actually makes it like a rock. It's all this pressure that's pushing on us and making us uncomfortable, and it creates a lot of problems. Now, what we eat can also dictate how much something is going to feel like a rock or not. There's some foods that are harder to acidify and break down, and others that are easier, like dark meat protein, like a steak or lamb, or even dark meat chicken, is harder to break down than a lot of white meat proteins. Things like, white chicken even, or eggs are even easier to break down. Carbohydrates are very easy to break down in most cases, especially processed junk food that's kind of already broken down while it's in the package. It's just chemicals and junk, so it breaks down very easily. But when you put a steak in there, you need a lot of HCl to really acidify that food so that it can break down properly. Now, that doesn't mean that a Pop-Tart is better for you than lamb chops or something like that. It just means that it's easier to break it down, and it's less likely to feel like a rock in your stomach because it's sitting there waiting to be acidified. Now, there is one more ripoff that we can experience that can make carbohydrates create that same feeling. And the reality is that this stomach acid that we make when we eat food not only helps us break down our food, it's also the barrier to the whole body. Like when bad guys come in on the food that we eat, and there's varmints and bacteria and all this stuff on the food that we're eating, we just can't totally avoid it. So when it comes in, it dies in this acid bath. But if we're not making enough stomach acid, they come in and like, hey, look at this party. This is going to be a good time. Let's set up camp. Let's have a keg party, and we'll raise kids and send them to college. So when there's no stomach acid there to wipe out these bad guys, they can really replicate in there. And the problem is that the waste product from a lot of types of bacteria and other varmints is very alkaline. And that alkaline waste can further alkalize the stomach, neutralizing maybe the small amount of stomach acid that you are making and making it totally worthless, making it even harder to digest that food and making it sit there like a rock even longer. And the other problem is that when we eat carbohydrates and sugars, a lot of these carbohydrates and sugars have the ability to activate these bacteria that are in your stomach. And when you activate them, they create more gases and pressure and toxins, which can make us be even more bloated. So if you're having more feelings like it's like a rock in your stomach when you eat protein, like a steak or something, then it's more likely that you're having a problem creating stomach acid and acidifying that food. But if more bloating occurs when you're eating carbohydrates or sugar, then there may be some type of bacterial overgrowth in your stomach where it doesn't belong, and that problem is creating this bloating and pressure and feeling like a rock that way. It's also possible to have a SIBO issue, or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. This is where a bacterial overgrowth is occurring a little further down the line in the small intestine. Now, we're supposed to have bacteria in the large intestine, but we shouldn't have a lot in the small intestine. So when there's a lot there, they can create this alkaline environment that'll kind of slow everything down and remove its ability to be assimilated correctly, and we can feel a lot of bloating in the small intestine. So that's a possibility too. So if you need to figure out which aspect of digestion isn't working correctly or where you might be having your issue in your intestinal tract, we have a free 4-week online digestion course that'll walk you through figuring out how to see what's going on with digestion, what issues need improvement, and the steps that you can take to improve them. Now, if you have this feeling like a rock in your stomach and you're dealing with constipation issues, then we'll put a link down in the description for our video on gastroparesis. Now, that doesn't mean that you have gastroparesis if you're feeling bloating and you're having constipation. But the explanation in that video will help you understand why these issues might lead to constipation and steps you can take to improve that. You really want to improve that. So for now, watch our playlist on optimizing digestion, and that'll give you more insights into how to figure out what's going wrong with digestion and take the steps to improve it. I can't wait to hear about your results.